Walk into a Scandinavian kitchen, and the first thing you notice is what isn't there. No crowded counters buried under appliances. No cupboards packed with things nobody uses. No clutter, no chaos, no visual noise. Just clean lines, clear surfaces, light and calm. A kitchen that feels open and effortless, even when it's small. And it's not because Scandinavians have bigger kitchens or spend more time cleaning. It's because there's an entire list of things they simply refuse to keep in there in the first place. This comes straight out of the values that shape Nordic life. Lagom. The sense that the right amount is just enough, not too much. A love of clean, functional design over clutter. A deep instinct against waste. And a preference for a few quality things over many cheap ones. Put those together, and you get a kitchen that holds only what earns its place. And stays calm, clear, and genuinely pleasant to be in. Precisely because of everything that's been left out. Today I'm going to walk you through 15 things Scandinavians never keep in their kitchens, and exactly why each one has to go. Some of these are sitting in your kitchen right now, quietly making it feel more cluttered and stressful than it needs to be. And by the end, you'll understand the single principle underneath all 15, the one that turns a chaotic kitchen into a calm one, without a renovation and without spending a thing. Stay with me until number 11. Because it's the one almost everyone keeps out of guilt, and it's quietly stealing more space than anything else in your kitchen. Before the list, one quick thing, because it's why this room in particular is worth getting right. The kitchen is the hardest working room in any home, and the fastest to descend into chaos. It's where mess is generated daily, where things accumulate fastest, where clutter has the most surfaces to colonize. Which means it's also the room where clearing out what doesn't belong makes the biggest difference to how your whole home feels. A calm kitchen quietly sets the tone for a calm home. A chaotic one does the opposite, greeting you with visual stress every single time you walk in. And here's the key insight that runs through this whole list. A cluttered kitchen is almost never a kitchen that needs more storage or more cleaning. It's a kitchen holding too much. The Scandinavian approach doesn't fight kitchen clutter with bigger cupboards and clever organizers. It prevents it by simply refusing to keep the things that create it. That's the difference. You don't organize your way to a calm kitchen, you subtract your way there. Here's what to subtract. Let's begin. 1. Appliances they rarely use. The bread maker used twice, the smoothie blender gathering dust, the specialty appliance that seemed essential and now just takes up space and collects grease. Scandinavians refuse to let the counter become a graveyard of rarely used machines. The logic is simple but ruthless. Counter space is the most valuable real estate in the kitchen. It's where you actually work. And an appliance you use twice a year has no right to occupy it permanently. If it's not used regularly, it gets stored away or, more often, was never bought in the first place. A clear, open counter you can actually work on is worth far more than the imagined convenience of an appliance gathering dust. 2. Single-use gadgets. The avocado slicer, the egg separator, the garlic peeler, the banana slicer, the drawer full of plastic objects that each do one tiny thing. The Nordic kitchen tends toward a few good, versatile tools that do many jobs well. Every single-use gadget is clutter with a price tag, taking up space for a convenience a good knife already provides. 3. Excess dishware and duplicates. 12 mugs for a household of 3. 15 near-identical utensils when you reach for the same 4. Lagom says keep what you use, in the amount you need. The excess isn't wealth, it's the reason your drawers won't close and your cupboards feel cramped. Fewer, better, and enough. 4. Mismatched, worn-out containers. The chaotic avalanche of plastic containers with no matching lids. The stained and warped ones you keep, just in case. The tower that collapses every time you open the cupboard. Scandinavians tend to keep a small, matching, functional set and release everything else. Here's why it matters more than it seems. That container cupboard is, for most people, the single most frustrating spot in the entire kitchen. A daily small aggravation every time you hunt for a lid that fits. Clearing it down to a matched, minimal set removes a genuine, recurring irritation. And be honest, most of what's in there is junk you'll never miss. 5. Expired and forgotten food. The jars at the back of the cupboard from years ago. The mystery containers slowly dying in the fridge. The condiments bought for one recipe and never touched again. The Nordic instinct toward freshness and against waste means the kitchen holds food that's actually eaten, not a slowly fossilizing archive of forgotten purchases. And here's the practical genius of clearing it. You can only use what you can see. Food buried at the back, behind three other things, gets forgotten and thrown away spoiled, which is money in the bin. A kitchen where everything is visible and used is a kitchen that wastes far less food and far less money. Clearing the expired stuff isn't just tidier. It's how you stop paying for food you forget you own. 6. Bulk buys they'll never finish. The giant warehouse-sized quantities bought to save money that then go stale, spoil, or clutter the shelves for years. Scandinavians tend to buy more thoughtfully, in amounts they'll actually use before things turn. The wisdom cuts against one of the most seductive traps in shopping. Bulk food you don't finish isn't a saving at all. It's waste you paid extra for and then paid again to store. The deal only counts if you actually use it. Buying enough, rather than buying the most, is both cheaper in the end and far kinder to your cupboard space. 7. Sugary, heavily processed snacks everywhere. While no culture is perfect, the Nordic kitchen leans towards simpler, fresher, less heavily processed food as the everyday default, rather than cupboards stocked with processed snacks. The wisdom is that what you keep in the kitchen is what you eat, and a kitchen stocked with simple, real food quietly shapes how a whole household eats, without any willpower required. 8. Countertop clutter of non-kitchen things. The mail, the keys, the chargers, the paperwork, the random household objects that migrate onto the kitchen counter and quietly take up residence. This is one of the biggest culprits, because the kitchen counter is flat, central, and convenient, which makes it a magnet for everything that doesn't have a home elsewhere. Scandinavians keep the kitchen surface for the kitchen, clear, functional, calm. The counter is a workspace, not a landing pad for the whole household's clutter. Protecting that surface from the daily drift of non-kitchen things is genuinely half of what keeps a Nordic kitchen feeling serene, because a clear counter reads as calm, and a covered one reads as chaos, no matter how clean everything else is. 9. Excess decorations and knickknacks. The crowded shelves of ornaments, the fridge covered edge to edge in magnets, photos, and papers, the surfaces dotted with little objects. Scandinavian design is famous worldwide for exactly this restraint: simplicity, clean lines, and clear space, with a few beautiful and functional things, rather than a clutter of decoration. And the fridge is worth singling out. A fridge door blanketed in magnets and paper is one of the single biggest sources of visual noise in a kitchen, and clearing it makes a startling difference. The wisdom is that empty space on a surface isn't wasted or cold. It's the very thing that makes the whole room feel calm, open, and intentional. 10. Too many cookbooks and paper clutter. The stack of cookbooks never opened, the drawer stuffed with takeout menus, receipts, and random papers. The Nordic instinct is to keep only what's genuinely used and let the paper pile go. That accumulating paper clutter is visual noise that quietly makes the whole kitchen feel busier and more stressful than it is. 11. Things kept purely out of guilt. Here it is. Number 11, the one almost everyone keeps. And the quiet space stealer. The gadget someone gave you that you've never once used. The expensive appliance you bought and regret, kept because throwing it out feels like admitting you wasted the money. The wedding gift that isn't your taste but feels wrong to release. Scandinavians are more willing to let these go. And there's a genuinely freeing reframe behind it. Keeping an object you don't use, purely out of guilt, doesn't undo the money already spent, and it doesn't honor the person who gave it. A gift's purpose was fulfilled the moment it was given. It expressed care, and it did that completely. Keeping the unwanted object afterward just burdens you with an obligation the gift was never meant to create. The guilt-kept items are quietly stealing more cupboard space than almost anything else in your kitchen, and releasing them, with gratitude rather than guilt, is one of the most freeing things you can do. 12. Broken things they mean to fix. The appliance that stopped working. Kept because someday you'll repair it. The chipped things, the items with missing parts, waiting for a someday that never comes. The wisdom is honesty. If it's been broken for a year, it's not getting fixed. Every broken thing kept to repair is an unfinished task sitting in your kitchen quietly nagging. Let it go, and the nagging goes with it. 13. Duplicates, just in case. The backup gadgets, the spare version of things you already have, the multiples kept for a just in case that never arrives. Lagom refuses this. One good version of a thing, used and cared for, beats 3 mediocre ones crowding the drawer. The just-in-case pile is almost always just clutter wearing a reasonable sounding excuse. 14. Cheap tools that don't work well. The blunt knife you fight with, the flimsy peeler, the utensil that frustrates you every single time, kept only because it still technically functions. Scandinavians lean toward a few genuinely good tools and release the cheap, frustrating ones, even though they still work. Here's the reframe. A good tool makes cooking a quiet pleasure, and a bad one makes it a small daily battle. Keeping the frustrating tool because it works isn't thrift. It's paying every single day in aggravation and lost joy to avoid replacing something that costs very little. One good knife you love to use is worth more than a drawer of mediocre ones you tolerate. 15. A stockpile of single-use disposables. The mountains of paper plates, plastic cutlery, and disposable everything. With a deep cultural respect for nature and against waste, Scandinavians lean toward reusable over disposable. The wisdom is both financial and environmental. The reusable thing you own beats the disposable stream you keep buying and throwing away, and it clears a surprising amount of cupboard space too. So let's step back, because a single thread runs through every one of these. The unused appliances, the single-use gadgets, the excess dishes, the expired food, the counter clutter, the guilt-kept items, the broken things, the duplicates. Notice what connects them all. Not one earns its place. Every single one is something that's there by default, by accumulation, by guilt, or by habit, not because it genuinely serves the life being lived in that kitchen. And each one takes up space, adds visual noise, and quietly makes the whole room feel more cluttered and stressful than it needs to be. That's the principle. A Scandinavian kitchen holds only what earns its place, and everything else is released. This is Lagom in action. Not too much, not too little, just enough. The calm of a Nordic kitchen isn't achieved through hours of cleaning or an expensive renovation. It's revealed by taking away, by refusing to keep the things that don't belong, until only what's genuinely useful and loved remains. A cluttered kitchen isn't a kitchen that needs more storage, it's a kitchen holding too much, and the fix is almost always subtraction, not addition. And here's the genuinely useful part. You can start tonight and it costs nothing. Don't try to clear all 15 at once. Pick one category. The guilt-kept items, maybe, or the expired food, or the drawer of mismatched containers. Clear just that one. Take everything out, keep only what you genuinely use and love, and release the rest. Then stand back and notice how different even one cleared space feels. How much calmer, how much more open. That feeling is the whole principle in miniature. And it's the beginning of a kitchen that feels the way a Scandinavian kitchen feels. Clear, calm, and effortless. Now I want to hear from you. Of these 15, which one is cluttering your kitchen right now? And which one are you finally going to clear out tonight? Tell me the number in the comments and be honest. And if this gave you a calmer way to think about your kitchen, share it with one person whose counters could use a little more breathing room. I'll see you in the next one.